10 Most Haunted Places in the World. The argument about the existence of ghosts and the supernatural entities is an ongoing debate with no end in sight. However, if there's one thing that's capable of proving the existence of the supernatural, then it's the haunted places all around the world that would make skeptics believe in the supernatural. These places are so haunted that it would make the bravest of people shudder at the thought of visiting them. So, today, we are going to be exploring the top 10 most haunted places in the world. Number 1. Chateau de Brissac, Maine-et-Loire, France. Located south of the city of Angers in France, the Chateau de Brissac is a castle that dates back to the 11th century. Despite having a fairy tale-like architecture that makes it appealing and welcoming, the chateau holds a much darker aspect to it that you'd never expect upon seeing it. It's considered one of the most haunted places in France. The Chateau de Brissac's history is stained with the blood of King Charles VII's illegitimate daughter, Charlotte de Brissac, and the man she was having an affair with. They were brutally murdered by her husband in a fit of rage. It's now believed that the ghost of Charlotte roams the rooms of the castle and has been repeatedly sighted by a lot of people. People who have seen her ghost have stated that she can be found wearing a green dress and has a face with hollowed eyes resembling a corpse. Number 2. Monte Cristo Homestead, New South Wales, Australia. When you have a house where a series of tragic events took place throughout its history, chances are the house will probably become haunted by the ghosts of the people who lost their lives within its walls. And this is the exact case of the Monte Cristo Homestead. Overlooking the railway town of Juni, the Monte Cristo Homestead is a secluded house that was built in 1884 by Christopher Crawley. Less than 3 decades after its construction, Christopher passed away and left the house for his wife Elizabeth, who spent the rest of her life in isolation. Today, the house is said to be haunted by the ghost of Elizabeth, and she makes her presence known with an ice-cold breeze that many have experienced whenever they enter the house. The ghost of Elizabeth isn't the only ghost who has been sighted by visitors. The house is haunted by an array of ghosts, including one of a blood-stained maid who fell to her death from the second-floor balcony, a stable boy who was burnt to death by his master, and the ghost of a mentally disabled man who was kept chained in the cottage for 4 decades and makes his presence known by the sound of clanking chains. Number 3. Bangar Fort, Rajasthan, India. Bangar Fort, located in India, is on the fine line between a haunted and a cursed place. The fort's history can be traced back to 1573 AD, and it's said that its haunting is a result of a curse that was placed on the town where the fort was built. According to a legend, there once lived a princess named Ratnavati whose beauty and charm were impeccable. Every year, she would receive hundreds of marriage proposals from men who fell in love with her beauty and grace, and among these men was a Tancred priest who was well versed in black magic. Knowing that his chances to be with Princess Ratnavati are slim, he decided to cast a spell on a bottle of perfume to make her fall in love with him. Luckily, the princess found out about this before she used the perfume and threw it out of the window at the priest. The bottle turned into a heavy boulder that fell on the priest, and before he died, he cast a spell to curse the entire town. And, within a year of that event, the majority of the town's residents were killed, including Ratnavati and her family, in a war, and any attempts of restoring the fort to its original state have failed, as everything would mysteriously collapse. To this day, Bangar Fort is haunted by countless ghosts to the point that they've banned visitors from entering it from sunset to sunrise. Number 4. Myrtles Plantation, USA. Dubbed as one of America's most haunted homes, the Myrtles Plantation used to be home to the Woodruff couple and numerous slaves. Chloe, one of the youngest slaves at the time, fell victim to Woodruff's abuse and what she experienced throughout the years from mutilation to abuse was nothing short of inhumane. Chloe planned and executed her revenge on Mrs. Woodruff and her 2 children, and she was hung by the neck as a result of her action. After her death, a sequence of tragic events would happen to whoever purchased the house. The first family, that consisted of a wealthy man and his 5 children, all passed away on the property from tuberculosis. Years later, another owner was shot point blank on his porch when he heard someone calling his name. Not only is the Myrtles Plantation haunted by ghosts and where unexplainable activities such as furniture moving happen, but the ghost of Chloe has also appeared in photographs. It's also said that Woodruff's children's ghosts would appear in a mirror near where they were poisoned. Number 5. Dragsholm Slot, Denmark. Dragsholm Slot is a castle that went through many wars since its construction and fortifications in the Middle Ages. The war tarnished the castle with blood and destruction, and it wasn't until it was sold off to a nobleman that he was able to rebuild it and restore its beauty. The nobleman did a pretty good job at that, because you'd never think that this castle, with the well-manicured garden, once was a place of destruction. Given the fact that it had a bloody history, it's only logical to expect ghosts to haunt the castle. Different mediums and psychics have visited Dragsholm Slot, and all of them have identified the same 4 active spirits that are said to haunt it. Number 6. Castle of Good Hope, Cape Town, South Africa. Known as the oldest castle in Cape Town, as it was built back in the 17th century, the Castle of Good Hope is anything but a good hope. Its history was packed full of brutal killings and gruesome punishments that were conducted in the castle's torture chamber. Some of the ghosts that are frequently seen in the castle are of that of a soldier who took his own life in the bell tower and is often sighted there, the ghost of a sad woman who's been seen wearing a gray cloak, as well as a party ghost that's believed to be that of Lady Anne Bernard, who lived at the castle for 5 years with her husband. Number 7. Banff Springs Hotel, Alberta, Canada. The Banff Springs Hotel is a 136-year-old hotel that you might recognize as the movie set for the 1980 psychological horror movie, The Shining. According to a legend, a murder-suicide involving a man who murdered his wife and daughter before killing himself took place in room 873, and it's now where most of the paranormal activity occurs. Countless guests who have stayed in this haunted room have reported being pushed off the beds while they slept and hearing the sound of screaming during the night. Once they switch on the lights, they would find bloody stains on the walls of the room that, even if the cleaning staff removes them, they would reappear later on. Due to this paranormal activity, the hotel has decided to barricade the room. Number 8. Pavloli Island, Italy. To have a house or a castle haunted by ghosts is one story, but to have an entire island that's so haunted that locals aren't willing to set foot on the island and fishermen refusing to fish near it, now that's on a completely different level. The island used to be a quarantine station to keep people suffering from the plague away from the rest of the population as an effort to stop the spread of the disease. The plague was so deadly that around 500 people died per day for a total of 160,000 people. Later on, the Pavloli Island was repurposed to house a mental hospital. Mentally ill patients reported to hear the sound of the screams of tortured souls that kept them up at night, and not only were their claims ignored, but also a doctor decided to lobotomize the patients to cure this delusion. And, well, it turned out not to be a delusion after all. The island is currently, and has been, off limits for more than 70 years for visitors, with the exception of paranormal shows. Number 9. Raynham Hall, Norfolk, England. The country house of Raynham Hall is perhaps one of the most famous haunted places in the world, as it's where a photograph of a real ghost was taken. The house was built in 1622 and has been the seat of the Townshend family for more than 400 years. According to a legend, Lady Dorothy Walpole, an English aristocrat who was married to Charles Townshend, was locked by her husband inside her room after he discovered that she was cheating on him. Until her death, she was never allowed to leave her room, not even to see her own children. The first sighting of the ghost of Lady Dorothy, who has been given the nickname Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, happened in 1835 that has led to many of the staff members to quit their jobs. However, it wasn't until 1936 that a photographer was able to capture a photo of the Brown Lady and publish it in Life magazine. Number 10. The Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, Colorado. Nicknamed as the Disneyland for ghosts, the Stanley Hotel was built by American inventor and entrepreneur Freeland Oscar Stanley and was the inspiration behind one of Stephen King's novels. The hotel is no stranger to ghosts and events that could only be described as bizarre. Guests staying at the hotel have reported seeing dark figures that would roam the halls at night, as well as hearing the sound of a creepy laugh echoing inside the hotel. Honorable mentions: the Catacombs, Paris, France. The Catacombs of Paris is a place that needs no introduction. It's where more than 6 million people were buried as a result of a shortage of burial space in the city. And while there are many legends and myths that surround the catacombs, one of the most terrifying ones would be that of a group of students who found a video camera inside the dark chambers of the cemetery. When they inspected it, they found videos of a man who was lost inside the network of tunnels to the point where he was starting to lose his sanity while trying to escape it. The video ended abruptly, and to this day, no one really knows what happened to this man and whether he survived and escaped. It's believed that there's something supernatural that happens at midnight, luring people in with voices to enter the network of tunnels until they can't find their way out, just like what happened to the man. Akershus Fortress, Norway. The Akershus Castle is a medieval castle that's equally as haunted as it is beautiful. For many years, the castle used to be a prison that housed dangerous criminals that expected forms of torture and grueling labor as disciplinary techniques. After the prison was closed, guards who stayed in the castle stated that they would hear the sound of chains rattling, people whispering, and scratching along the walls. The Conjuring House, Rhode Island, USA. Perhaps the most haunted house in the world, mainly because of the media exposure it got after the Conjuring movie was released, this Rhode Island house is surrounded by many rumors, many of which are the Bathsheba, who you might know about from the movie. Bathsheba was accused of practicing witchcraft, and it's believed that she killed herself as a result of those rumors. The Perron family, who later moved inside the house, started experiencing weird events that range from smelling a rotting stench that never goes away to having the children's beds moved during the night. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren took this case under their wing and immediately picked up on the ghost of Bathsheba. And despite the Warrens stating that Bathsheba no longer haunts the house, current owners still experience paranormal activity to this day. That's it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed watching it. What do you think about these haunted places? Would you visit them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, before you leave, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more content, and click on the notification box below to be notified whenever we upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.